Let's rethink together these predictive biomarkers that can guide therapy. Let's look at the goal values for evidence-based care. Let's add life to years and years to life. Now that's not my phrase, that's a classic phrase. Let's add life to years and years to life. This is not just a noble platitude. We can document in 3 to 6 months of best efforts 10 to 30 years of quality life being added to most people who follow our approach. And one we'll talk about in more detail later, but the headline is, if you had diabetes, and you are already at best standard of care, but then followed through on our program, in 6 months, the average study subject had a full milligram per deciliter reduction in their hemoglobin A1C, and that added on average 22 years of quality, low-cost life to that individual. So we have economic evidence, we have laboratory evidence, and we have some clinical outcome studies. Why? Someone's got to do them. They're not easy to do, but someone's got to do them. And my background is as much in methodology as it is in clinical research. And we've actually worked out models that others can now use, because every study we have thus far done achieved significance at the 0.05 to 0.001 level, and we were only comparing a dozen people in each group. So it doesn't have to be wildly expensive to show evidence of efficacy. And we want to improve health, improve outcomes, and lower cost. Now, does that ring any bells with anyone? Better health, better care, lower cost? The triple aim? Okay. The triple aim. This is what brought Don Berwick to attention of President Obama, who appointed him to run Medicare for a while. And we're very consistent with the triple aim. Better health, better care, lower cost. And how do you do that? Well, one person at a time, with evidence, personalizing, but personalizing it based on these 8 biomarker tests. And some of these are going to be quite familiar. Hemoglobin A1C should be familiar to you, but I'm going to reframe the goal value and how to interpret it. Similarly, it really does want me to move along. Similarly, there's HSCRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein. We were talking about inflammation and repair. The marker we recommend is HSCRP. Homocysteine, detoxification, methylation, cardiovascular risk, all-cause morbidity, mortality. Lymphocyte response assays, but the high sensitivity that I'm recommending, the one that has less than 3% variance, it's ex vivo. It's not just a cell culture, it's more than that. And continuing around clockwise, on the bottom, first AM urine pH. That's something people do at home for pennies a day, and you help them understand what the information means. Then vitamin D, accurately measured. By the way, it's a neurohormone, even though we call it a vitamin. An omega-3 index. And then 8-oxoguanine. Now, I just want to introduce these. These are the 8. We're going to see these a lot today, and we'll go through several of them in some detail, even though we don't have a whole lot of time, but I think we have enough to do that. Now, if I was concerned, say, about age-related macular degeneration, if I was concerned about age-related glycation end products, AGEs, well, for sure, I'd be looking at hemoglobin A1C, and I wouldn't care what the insulin and blood sugar is. But I would include measures of inflammation and repair, and measures of methylation and detoxification, and of immune tolerance and intolerance. And those 4, I'm going to argue, are ready for prime time. They've been done on large enough groups for long enough times to qualify. The other 4, I think, fill out the epigenetic 92% of what you can influence. I'm going to suggest that this covers all of epigenetics. This covers all of the 92% that you can do something about. And this is where I would start, with almost everyone. Now, this isn't where I would finish, but this is where I would start, with almost everyone. Relatively straightforward, not a huge number of tests, not wildly expensive, but highly predictive, especially when you know what the best outcome goal value is, and you then show them how to reach it or celebrate that they have it. Because if they're at their goal value, they're resistant and resilient, congratulations, mazel tov, whatever. But if you're not there, what are the simple lifestyle things we can do over the next 3 to 6 months, and then come back and measure progress towards best outcome goal value. So this is a reworking by us of a slide that I think brings a lot of information together. 92% is epigenetic. 8% is picking your parents wisely. The genes are influenced by both. But normally you see genetics and epigenetics as two categories. I want to emphasize that 92% and the stuff you can do something about is here. And while your genes do change based on your behavior, there are some fixed risks or fixed challenges that people have. When you use the predictive biomarkers interpreted to their best outcome goal values, you now have an insight before subclinical disease and certainly before chronic disease. So this fulfills the primary proactive prevention piece that many want to see happen, but nobody quite knows how to get back to primary rather than tertiary prevention. And so for those of you who are interested in prevention and epidemiology, that's all very consistent with what I'm saying by using functional tests, best outcome goal values, and then what to do about them.